Hello everyone. Tonight we begin with a whisper from the cradle of civilization, where the rivers Tigris and Euphrates cradle secrets older than your bones. Picture this. You're standing ankle-deep in warm, sucking mud, the air thick with the stench of silt and sweat, and somewhere in the dusk, a ziggurat looms like a god's own shadow. Your hands blister from a hoe you barely know how to wield, and the sun doesn't care that you're not built for this. One wrong step, one missed offering to the gods, and you're not just a farmer, you're a sacrifice. Could you survive a single week as a farmer in ancient Sumer? Spoiler, you wouldn't. Let's find out why. Oh, and before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from? What time is it where you are? Drop a comment. I'd love to know who's curled up in their blanket with me tonight. The dawn is a bruise on the horizon, purple and swollen, as you stumble from your reed hut. The air smells of damp clay and something sharper, maybe the fear of the man next to you. Or maybe it's just you. Your stomach growls, but breakfast is a distant dream. You're a farmer in Sumer, in the city of Uruk, around 3000 BCE, and the gods don't care about your hunger. The fields stretch before you, a patchwork of barley and emmer wheat, crisscrossed by canals that shimmer like veins of liquid silver. You're supposed to coax life from this land, but it feels like the land is coaxing death from you. Your feet sink into the mud, each step a wet, slurping battle. The hoe in your hands is heavy, its wooden handle splintered, and your palms are already raw. You swing it down, breaking the earth, but the motion is wrong. Too weak, too hesitant. A man nearby, his face lined like cracked pottery, mutters something in Akkadian. You don't catch the words, but the scorn is universal. This is like scrolling through your feed, where a bad day means a missed deadline or a snarky email. Here, a bad day means the crops fail, the gods turn their backs, and your family starves. You glance at the canal. Its water murky and sluggish. It's your lifeline, fed by the Euphrates, but it's also a tyrant. Too little water, and the fields dry to dust. Too much, and the floods sweep away everything you bled for. You've heard stories of farmers who misjudged the sluice gates, letting the river's wrath drown their fields. Their names are forgotten, their bones buried in unmarked graves. You don't want to be one of them, but the canal's edge is slippery, and your hands shake as you adjust the wooden gate. Water gurgles a low, mocking sound, like the river knows something you don't. A shadow falls over you, and you look up to see a woman standing at the field's edge. Her name is Shabad, a priestess of Inanna, or so the whispers say. Her eyes are kohl-rimmed, sharp as obsidian, and her robes are dyed a deep indigo, a color you've never seen on anyone but the elite. She's not here to help you. She's watching, her lips curled in a way that makes your spine prickle. The goddess sees your work, she says, her voice soft but heavy, like a stone dropped into still water. You nod, because what else can you do? Inanna, goddess of love and war, isn't exactly known for her mercy. You've seen the temple rituals, the blood of lambs spilled on altars, the chants that make your ears ring. Shabad's presence feels like a warning or maybe a curse. You don't know her story, nobody does, but there's a rumor she was once a farmer's daughter, before the temple claimed her. Now she walks among you like a ghost, her feet barely touching the earth. You turn back to the field, your host striking the ground with a dull thud. The soil is stubborn, clotted with clay, and every swing feels like a fight you're losing. Your back aches, your shoulders scream, and the sun is climbing higher, its heat pressing down like a god's hand. You're not alone in the field. Dozens of others toil nearby, their bodies bent, their faces blank with exhaustion. There's a rhythm to it, a grim dance of hoes and shovels, but you're out of step. A boy, no older than 10, scurries past, carrying a basket of seed. His eyes are too big for his face, and his ribs show through his skin. You want to ask his name, but you don't. Names are dangerous here. They tie you to people, and people don't last long. The air hums with insects, their wings a constant, whining drone. Mosquitoes bite at your neck, leaving welts that itch like betrayal. You slap at one, and your hand comes away bloody. The blood isn't just yours, it's the land's, the rivers, the gods. You're starting to understand why the Sumerians carved their gods with such sharp edges. Nothing here is soft, not the earth, not the people, not the sky. You pause to wipe sweat from your brow, and that's when you notice the statue. It's small, half buried in the dirt, a crude figure of a bull with human eyes. You've seen these before, votive offerings, meant to appease the gods of fertility. But this one feels different. Its eyes seem to follow you. And when you blink, you swear it shifts, just a fraction. You tell yourself it's the heat, the hunger, but your heart hammers. You want to pick it up, to bury it deeper, but touching it feels like inviting trouble. A shout breaks your thoughts. Two men are arguing near the canal, their voices rising over the slap of water. One is older, his beard streaked with gray, his hands gnarled from years in the fields. The other is younger, wiry, with a scar running down his cheek. They're fighting over water, whose plot gets the next flow. Water is life, and there's never enough. The older man grips his shovel like a weapon, and the younger one's hand hovers near a knife tucked into his belt. You should look away, keep working, but you can't. This is the kind of moment that defines you here. Do you step in, risking your own skin, or do you stay silent, letting violence bloom? The priestess, Shabad, watches from a distance, her face unreadable. You feel her eyes on you, not them, and it's like she's weighing your soul. The younger man spits a curse, and the older one swings a shovel. It misses, but the intent is clear. The boy with the seed basket freezes, his eyes wide. You could shout, could try to stop them, but your throat is dry, and your feet feel rooted to the mud. What's the right choice? If you intervene, you might end up with a knife in your gut. If you don't, and someone dies, will the gods blame you? Sumer isn't a place for heroes. It's a place for survivors. And you're not even sure you're one of those yet. The men circle each other, their shadows long and jagged in the morning light. The canal gurgles indifferent, and the bull statue's eyes seem to gleam. You turn away, your hoe biting into the earth again. The argument fades, replaced by the rhythmic thud of your work. Maybe they'll settle it. Maybe they won't. All you know is the field, the mud, the ache in your bones. Shabad is gone when you look up, her indigo robes a memory against the brown and gray of the world. The statue remains half-buried, watching. You don't know what tomorrow will bring, another day of toil, another fight, another offering to gods who never seem satisfied. But for now, you swing your hoe, and the earth yields just a little. It's not much, but it's enough to keep you alive. For now. The sun is a merciless fist now, hammering down on your neck as you drag a basket of barley stalks across the field. The air tastes of dust and salt, your sweat mingling with the earth's own breath. Your hands, blistered and cracked, grip the basket's rough reeds, each step a negotiation with the uneven ground. The canals glint in the distance, their waters hoarded by the lucky or the ruthless. And you're neither. You're just you, a farmer in ancient Sumer, Uruk's unforgiving embrace tightening around you. The morning's fight by the canal is a distant hum, like a storm that passed but left the air heavier. You don't know who won, or if anyone did. All you know is the weight in your hands, the burn in your shoulders, and the gnawing sense that you're not meant for this. The field is alive with motion, bent backs, swinging hoes, the occasional curse in a tongue you're still learning. You're hauling the barley to a threshing floor, a flat circle of packed clay where the grain will be beaten free. It's not your barley, not really. It belongs to the temple, to the gods, to the priests who glide through Uruk like shadows of vultures. You're allowed to keep enough to feed your family, maybe, if the harvest is good and the scribes don't skim too much. You've seen the scribes, their reed styluses scratching numbers into clay tablets, their eyes cold as the river at dawn. They don't farm, don't sweat, don't bleed. They count, and somehow, their counting always leaves you with less. Your basket scrapes against a stone, and you stumble, barley stalks spilling onto the dirt. A woman nearby laughs, her voice sharp as a flint blade. Her name is Ninlil, or so you've heard, a widow who works her husband's old plot with a ferocity that makes men step aside. Her hair is streaked with gray, tied back with a strip of linen, and her arms are corded with muscle. She's not kind, but she's not cruel either, just surviving like you're trying to. Pick it up, she says, not looking at you, her own basket balanced on her hip. The gods don't wait. You scramble to gather the stalks, your knees sinking into the warm earth. The dirt clings to your skin, a second hide you can't shed. You want to snap back to tell her you're doing your best, but best isn't a word that matters here. Results are. Survival is. You reach the threshing floor, a wide, sun-baked expanse ringed with workers. The air is thick with chaff, tiny flecks that sting your eyes and coat your throat. You cough, tasting the bitterness of barley dust, and your lungs protest. The workers move in a rhythm, flails rising and falling, the thwack of wood on grain a heartbeat you can't escape. You're supposed to join them, to beat the stalks until the grain spills free, but your arms are lead, and the flail feels like it's mocking you. You've never done this before, not really. You're not from here, not born to this land, but the gods don't care about your past. They want your sweat, your blood, your obedience. A man stands at the edge of the threshing floor, his presence pulling your gaze like a lodestone. He's not a farmer, not with those clean hands and that linen kilt, pristine as a temple offering. His name is Enmer, a scribe, and his eyes are narrow, scanning the workers like a hawk over a field. He's young, younger than you'd expect, with a face smooth as polished stone, but there's something old in his gaze, something that makes your stomach twist. You've heard whispers about him, that he's favored by the priests, that he knows secrets carved into tablets older than Uruk itself. Some say he speaks to the gods in dreams, others that he's cursed, his shadow heavier than it should be. You don't know what's true, but you feel his eyes on you, and it's like being seen by something not entirely human. You swing the flail, awkward at first, the motion jarring your shoulders. The grain scatters, some of it lost to the dirt, and you feel Enmer's gaze sharpen. Careful, he says, his voice low, almost a hiss. The temple counts every kernel. You nod, your throat dry, and keep working. The flail rises, falls, rises again, and soon you're lost in the rhythm, your body moving without thought. The chaff swirls, a golden haze that catches the sunlight, and for a moment it's almost beautiful. But beauty doesn't fill your stomach, and it doesn't appease the gods. You glance at Ninlil, who works with a grim efficiency, her flail a blur. She doesn't look at Enmer, doesn't acknowledge him, but you notice her hands tighten, her knuckles whitening. The threshing floor is more than a place. It's a stage, a test. Every swing of your flail is a prayer, every grain a plea. You've heard of the harvest festivals, the rituals where the first grains are offered to Inanna, the goddess whose whims shape your world. You've seen the altars slick with oil and blood, the statues of lions and bulls that guard the temple gates. But here, on the threshing floor, there's another kind of offering. A clay tablet, small and unassuming, half buried in the dirt near the edge of the circle. You almost miss it, but the sunlight catches its edge, and you pause, your flail hovering. It's not like the scribe's tablets, with their neat rows of wedges. This one is crude, its surface scratched with symbols you don't recognize, spirals, eyes, a jagged line like a lightning bolt. It feels wrong, like a secret that shouldn't be seen. You glance at Enmer, but he's watching the horizon. His face unreadable. Ninlil is closer, her eyes flicking to the tablet, and then away, quick as a snake's tongue. You want to ask her what it is, but the words stick in your throat. Instead, you keep working, the flail's rhythm pulling you back. The tablet stays where it is, half buried, watching. You tell yourself it's nothing, just a farmer's charm, but your skin crawls, and the air feels heavier, like a storm is coming. You've heard of curses in Sumer, of tablets inscribed with the names of the dead, buried to bind their spirits. You don't believe in ghosts, not really, but you're not sure you don't believe either. The sun climbs higher, and the threshing floor becomes a furnace. Your tunic clings to your skin, soaked with sweat, and your mouth is so dry you can't swallow. There's no water here, not unless you beg, and begging is a risk. You've seen farmers collapse in the fields, their bodies left until dusk, when the priests decide their fate. You don't want to be one of them, but your vision blurs, and the flail feels like it's swinging you. Ninlil notices, her eyes narrowing. "Drink," she says, jerking her head toward a clay jug half hidden behind a pile of stalks. You hesitate. Taking water that's not yours could mean trouble, but your body decides for you. You stumble to the jug, your hands shaking as you lift it. The water is warm, gritty, but it's life, and you gulp it down, spilling half on your chest. Enmer's voice cuts through the haze. "That's not yours." You freeze, the jug still in your hands. He's closer now, his shadow falling over you, and you realize how tall he is, how his presence fills the space. You want to explain, to say Ninlil told you to drink, but your tongue is lead. Ninlil is silent, her flail still moving, her face a mask. Do you speak up, blame her, and risk her wrath? Or do you take the blame, hoping Enmer's mercy outweighs his authority? Mercy isn't a word you trust here, not in a land where gods and scribes hold your fate in their hands. You lower the jug, your eyes on the ground, and mumble an apology. Enmer says nothing, but his silence is worse than words. He turns away, and you feel the weight of his judgment, heavy as the tablet in the dirt. You return to the flail, your arms screaming, your heart pounding. The tablet is still there, its symbols gleaming in the sunlight. You want to bury it, to kick dirt over it and pretend it doesn't exist, but you're afraid to touch it. Ninlil works beside you, her rhythm unbroken, but you catch her glancing at the tablet, her lips moving in what might be a prayer. The threshing floor hums with life, with work, with fear. You're not sure what's worse, the gods who watch from above, the scribes who watch from below, or the secrets buried in the earth. All you know is the flail, the grain, the dust. You swing, and the world narrows to this moment, this motion, this fight to stay alive. The dusk wraps around you like a damp cloak, the air heavy with the scent of cooling earth and crushed barley. Your hands tremble as you stack the last of the grain sacks, their coarse fibers scraping your raw palms. The threshing floor is quiet now, the workers gone, their shadows swallowed by the fading light. Uruk's skyline looms in the distance, the ziggurat's silhouette a jagged tooth against the sky. You're alone, or so you think, but the hairs on your neck prickle, and you can't shake the feeling that something watches from a dark. The day's labor clings to you, sweat, chaff, the ache in your bones, but it's the memory of that buried tablet, its strange symbols glinting like eyes, that keeps your heart uneven. You're a farmer in ancient Sumer, and survival isn't just about the harvest. It's about what you don't see, what you don't say, what you don't touch. You sling a sack over your shoulder, its weight pressing you into the earth, and start the long walk to the storage huts. The path is narrow, flanked by canals that gurgle like they're whispering secrets. The water reflects the first stars, but it's not beautiful. It's eerie, like the river knows your name. Your feet sink into the mud, each step a reminder of how little you belong here. You're not like Ninlil, with her flinty strength, or Enmer, with his scribe's arrogance. You're just you, and that's not enough. The sack digs into your shoulder, and you shift it wincing. You've carried worse in your old life, deadlines, expectations, the weight of a bad day. But this is different. This weight could mean life or death, not just for you, but for everyone who depends on the temple's grain. A sound stops you, a low rhythmic chant, faint but growing louder. It's coming from the reeds near the canal, where the shadows are thickest. You freeze, your breath shallow, the sack suddenly heavier. The chant is in Akkadian, the words slithering through the air, and though you don't understand them, they feel like a warning. You should keep walking, get to the huts, drop the sack, and pretend you heard nothing. But curiosity, that old betrayer, roots you to the spot. You peer into the reeds, your eyes straining against the dark. There's movement, a flicker of white linen, and then you see her, a girl no older than 15, kneeling by the water. Her hair is loose, a black cascade, and her hands are raised, clutching a small clay figurine. It's a snake, coiled and eyeless, its surface slick with oil. You don't know her name, but you've seen her before, carrying water to the fields, her steps silent, her eyes always down. The workers call her the Quiet One, and there's a story, half whispered, half forgotten, that her mother was a diviner, struck blind for reading omens the priests didn't want known. The girl's chant grows softer, more desperate, and you catch a single word, Nurgle. The god of death, plague, the underworld. Your stomach twists. Nobody prays to Nurgle unless they're begging for mercy or cursing someone else. You want to turn away to unsee this, but your feet won't move. The girl dips the snake figurine into the canal, the water swallowing it with a soft plop, and you realize what she's doing, a ritual, a binding, maybe a curse. But who is it for? And why here in the open where anyone could see? A twig snaps behind you, and you whirl, the sack slipping from your shoulder. It's not Enmer, not Ninlil, but a man you don't recognize. He's old, his face a map of wrinkles, his beard white as moonlit frost. His eyes are cloudy, one of them milky with blindness, and he leans on a staff carved with spirals that make your head hurt to look at. He's not a farmer, not a scribe, not a priest, but there's power in him, the kind that makes the air feel tight. You shouldn't be here, he says, his voice like dry leaves. You want to ask who he is, what he wants, but your throat is sand. He points his staff at the reeds, where the girl is still kneeling, oblivious. She's calling trouble, and you're standing in its path. You glance back at the girl, but she's gone, the reed still, the chant silenced. The canal is smooth, no trace of the snake figurine, no ripples to betray her ritual. You blink, your heart pounding. And when you look again, the old man is closer, too close, his breath sour with herbs you can't name. "Leave it be," he says, "or you'll carry her curse." You nod, because what else can you do? You hoist the sack, your shoulder screaming, and stumble toward the huts. The old man doesn't follow, but you feel his eyes, or maybe it's the girls, or maybe it's Nurgle himself, watching from the dark. The storage huts are squat mud brick structures, their roofs thatched with reeds that rustle in the night breeze. You push open the heavy door, the air inside thick with the smell of grain and damp clay. The sacks are piled high, each one marked with a temple seal, a lion's head, its jaws open. You add your sack to the pile, your hands shaking, and try not to think about the girl, the snake, the old man. You're here to work, to survive, not to chase ghosts. But the hut feels wrong, the shadows too deep, the air too still. You notice a mark on the wall, scratched into the brick, a spiral, like the ones on the old man's staff, like the symbols on the buried tablet from the threshing floor. It's small, easy to miss, but it's there, and it feels like a warning. You step outside, the night air sharp against your skin. The stars are out, a scatter of cold light, and the ziggurat looms larger now, its steps climbing toward the heavens. You've heard the priests talk about the stars, how they carry messages from the gods, how a misread omen can bring flood or famine. You don't know the stars, don't know the gods, but you know fear, and it's curling in your gut like a living thing. You start the walk back to your reed hut, the path darker now, the canal silent. Your mind churns. The girl's ritual, was it for her, for someone else, for you? And the old man, who is he? A diviner, a madman, a spirit? You've heard of the Apkallu, wise men from before the flood, half myth, half man. But you don't believe in myths. Or do you? A scream cuts the night, high and sharp, from the direction of the fields. You stop, your breath catching. It's not your business, not your fight. You're a farmer, not a hero, and heroes don't last in Sumer. But the scream comes again, weaker, and you think of the girl, her snake figurine, her whispered prayer to Nurgle. Do you run toward the sound, risking whatever's out there, thieves, spirits, gods? Or do you keep walking, head down, like everyone else in this city? The choice is a blade, and you're already bleeding. You take a step toward your hut, then another, but the scream echoes in your skull, and you're not sure if it's guilt or fear that makes your hands shake. The path twists, and you see a flicker of light, a torch bobbing in the distance. It's moving toward the fields, toward the scream. You could follow it, see what's happening, or you could stay in the dark, safe but ignorant. The old man's words ring in your ears. You'll carry her curse. You don't know what he meant, but you feel it, heavy as the sack you carried, heavy as the spiral scratched into the hut. You keep walking, your feet choosing for you, but the torchlight lingers in your vision, a beacon or a trap. The night presses closer, the air thick with the scent of mud and something sharper. Blood, maybe, or just your imagination. You reach your hut, its reed walls sagging under the weight of time. Inside it's dark, the air stale with the smell of unwashed linen and yesterday's porridge. You collapse onto a mat, your body screaming, your mind louder. The scream, the girl, the old man, the spiral. They swirl in your head, a storm you can't outrun. You close your eyes, but sleep is a stranger. The ziggurat watches through the cracks in the wall, the stars whisper, and somewhere Nurgle listens. You're a farmer in Sumer, and the night is not your friend. The morning air is sharp, slicing through the thin linen of your tunic as you kneel by the canal, scooping water to wash the night's fear from your face. The water is cold, gritty with silt, and it stings the cuts on your hands. You're back in the fields of Uruk, the sun barely cresting the horizon, painting the sky in streaks of ochre and ash. The scream from last night lingers in your ears, a ghost that won't fade, but no one speaks of it. The other farmers move like shadows, their hoes biting the earth, their faces blank as the clay tablets that rule your life. You're a farmer in ancient Sumer, and questions are a luxury you can't afford. The canal gurgles beside you, its current slow and secretive, and you try not to think of the girl, her snake figurine, or the old man with his spiraled staff. You try not to think at all. You rise, wiping your hands on your tunic, and trudge to your plot. The barley is young, its green shoots fragile against the stubborn clay. Your job today is weeding, pulling the intruders that choke the crop before they can spread. It's delicate work, and your hands, clumsy from exhaustion, aren't made for it. You kneel again, the mud soaking through to your knees, and start tugging at a wiry stalk. It resists, its roots deep, and you curse under your breath. The air smells of wet earth and something sour, like milk left too long in the heat. Flies buzz around you, drawn to your sweat, and you swat at them, your patience fraying like the hem of your tunic. A shadow falls over you, and you look up, expecting Ninlil or Enmer. It's neither. The man standing there is broad-shouldered, his skin burned dark by the sun, his beard braided with beads that clink softly. His name is Gudea, a farmer like you, but different. His plot is larger, his harvests always better, his offerings to the temple always noticed. He's not a friend, but he's not an enemy either, just a man who knows how to play the game you're losing. You're pulling too hard, he says, his voice low, almost kind. You'll kill the barley along with the weed. You nod, because arguing feels like inviting trouble, and trouble is already your shadow. Gudea kneels beside you, his hands deft as they separate weed from crop, and you watch, half grateful, half resentful. He makes it look easy, like he was born with the earth in his veins. You work in silence, the rhythm of your hands sinking with his. The field hums with life, birds calling, water slapping the canal banks, the distant thud of oars. But there's tension in the air, a tightness you can't name. You glance at Gudea, and his eyes are on the horizon, where the ziggurat looms, its peak catching the morning light. They're watching, he says, so quiet you almost miss it. You follow his gaze, but there's no one there, just the temple's shadow stretching across the fields. You want to ask who he means, the priests, the gods, someone else, but his face is closed, and you swallow the question. Some things are better left unsaid, like the scream, like the spiral, like the weight in your chest. You notice something in the dirt, half hidden by a barley shoot. It's a bead, small and blue, glazed like the ones in Gudea's beard. You pause, your fingers hovering. It's beautiful, the kind of thing you'd see in a temple offering, not buried in a farmer's plot. You glance at Gudea, but he's focused on his work, his hand steady. Do you pick it up, offer it to him, or leave it be? It could be his, lost in a field, or it could be something else. An offering, a charm, a trap. You've heard of farmers finding things in the earth, tokens left for gods or spirits, and touching them can bring luck or ruin. Your hand twitches, but you pull back, leaving the bead where it lies. Gudea doesn't notice, or if he does, he doesn't care. The sun climbs, its heat pressing down, and your back aches from kneeling. Gudea stands, brushing dirt from his hands, and looks at you, his eyes unreadable. Come to the ritual tonight, he says, not a question, but not quite a command. You blink, caught off guard. You've heard of the rituals, offerings to Dumuzi, the shepherd god, to bless the fields. They're held at dusk, with music and fire and blood, and you've always stayed away, too tired, too afraid of the priest's eyes. But Gadea's tone is heavy, like he's offering you a rope or a noose. It's important, he adds, and then he's gone, striding toward his plot, his beads clinking softly. You keep weeding, but your mind is elsewhere. The bead glints in the dirt, a tiny piece of sky trapped in the earth. You try to focus, but the field feels different now, like it's holding its breath. You think of the girl by the canal, her prayer to Nurgle, and the old man's warning about curses. You think of the scream, and how no one speaks of it. And now Gadea, with his steady hands and his invitation that feels like a challenge. You're not sure what's worse, going to the ritual and facing whatever waits there, or staying away and risking Gadea's disapproval. He's not a man you want as an enemy, not with his connections, his harvests, his beads that somehow end up in your plot. The day drags on, the sun a relentless god. Your hands are stained green from the weeds, your knees caked with mud. You're thirsty, but the canal water is too murky, and you don't have a jug. You think of your old life of cold drinks and air conditioning, but the memory is distant, like a dream you can't hold. Here, there's only the earth, the heat, the work. You glance at the bead again, and it's still there, untouched, watching. You tell yourself it's nothing, just a trinket, but your skin prickles, and you wonder if it's connected to the spiral, the tablet, the girl. You wonder if everything in Sumer is connected, a web you're caught in, struggling without knowing why. A horn sounds, low and mournful, from the direction of the ziggurat. It's the call to the ritual, and your stomach twists. The other farmers pause, their faces turning toward the sound, and you feel their eyes on you. Or maybe it's just your fear. You stand, your legs stiff, and wipe your hands on your tunic. The bead is still there, and you step over it, careful not to touch it. You don't know if you're going to the ritual, but Gadea's words echo in your head, and you know you can't ignore them. You start walking, not toward the ziggurat, but toward your hut, your steps slow, your heart heavy. The horn sounds again, and the air feels thicker, like it's carrying the weight of the gods. You pass a small shrine, a niche in the canal bank where a statue stands, a lion, its eyes inlaid with lapis, its mouth open in a silent roar. It's an offering to Ninurta, god of agriculture and war, and there's a fresh smear of blood on its base, still wet. You stop, your breath catching. The blood is too red, too fresh, and you think of the scream, the torchlight, the girl. You want to run, to hide, but the lion's eyes hold you, and you feel the weight of your choice, go to the ritual or stay away. If you go, you might see something you can't unsee. If you stay, you might miss something you need to know. The blood glistens, and you wonder whose it is, what it means, why it's here. You keep walking, the shrine behind you, the horns echo fading. Your hut is close, its reed walls a fragile promise of safety. But safety is a lie in Sumer, and you know it. The bead, the spiral, the scream, they're all part of the same story, and you're in it, whether you want to be or not. You reach the hut, your hands shaking as you push the door open. Inside it's dark, the air stale, and you collapse onto your mat, your body screaming. The ritual is hours away, and you have time to decide, but time feels like a trap. You close your eyes, and the lion's face swims in the dark, its bloody jaw grinning. The afternoon sun is a molten weight, pressing you into the earth as you trudge through the fields, a bundle of reeds slung across your back. The air is thick, heavy with the scent of mud and the faint, acrid tang of burning chaff from a distant fire. Your tunic clings to your skin, soaked with sweat, and your feet ache from the endless dance with the uneven ground. Uruk's fields stretch around you, a patchwork of green and brown, the canals glinting like blades in the light. The horn's echo from the ziggurat still hums in your bones. Gadia's invitation to the ritual a thorn in your thoughts. You're a farmer in ancient Sumer, and every choice feels like a step toward a cliff. The reeds dig into your shoulders, their sharp edges biting through the linen, and you shift the load, wincing. You're carrying them to repair a canal bank, a task you barely understand. But the priest's orders are clear. Fix the breach, or the fields drown. The canal is close, its water sluggish, choked with silt and weeds. You drop the reeds, your arms screaming, and kneel to inspect the bank. The mud is soft, crumbling under your fingers, and you realize how fragile this world is. One weak wall, one bad day, and the river claims everything. You've seen flooded fields, crops ruined, farmers weeping as the scribes tallied their losses. You don't want to be one of them. But the reeds are heavy, the mud uncooperative, and your hands are better suited to a keyboard than a shovel. You start weaving the reeds into the bank, clumsy at first, the structure wobbling like your resolve. The water laps at your knees, cold despite the heat, and you feel its pull, like it's testing you. A rustle in the reeds makes you pause. You glance up, expecting a bird or a snake, but it's a boy no older than 12, his eyes wide and dark, his tunic patched and too big for his frame. He's clutching a clay pot, its surface slick with oil, and he's staring at you like you're a ghost. You've seen him before, fetching water or scurrying between plots, always alone, always silent. His name is unknown, but the farmers call him the potter's shadow, a nod to his father, a man who died when a kiln collapsed, or so the story goes. The boy doesn't speak, just watches, his pot glinting in the sunlight. You nod, hoping to ease his tension, but he steps back, his bare feet silent on the mud. "You're doing it wrong," he says finally, his voice small but sharp, like a pebble in a stream. You blink, caught off guard, and look at the reeds. They're crooked, half-submerged, and you know he's right. You want to snap at him, to tell him to mind his own work, but there's something in his eyes. Fear, maybe, or something older. "Show me," you say, softer than you meant, and he hesitates, then kneels beside you. His hands are quick, weaving the reeds with a precision you can't match, and you watch, humbled. The pot sits beside him, its oil catching the light, and you wonder what it's for, an offering, a ritual, something darker. You don't ask. Questions are dangerous here, like the scream you ignored, like the bead you left in the dirt. The canal bank takes shape, the boy's hands guiding yours, and you feel a flicker of pride, fleeting as a breeze. But the air shifts, heavier now, and you notice a smell, smoke, not from the distant chaff fire, but closer, sharper. You glance at the boy, but he's focused, his lips moving silently, like he's praying or counting. You follow his gaze to the pot, and your stomach twists. There's a mark on it, etched into the clay, a spiral, jagged and uneven, like the one on the tablet, the one in the storage hut. It's not identical, but it's close enough to make your skin crawl. You want to ask about it, but the boy's eyes are on the reeds, and the smoke is thicker now, curling through the air like a warning. A shout breaks the silence, harsh and urgent, from the direction of the fields. You stand, your heart pounding, and see a figure running toward you, a woman, her hair loose, her tunic stained with ash. It's not Ninlo, not anyone you know, but her panic is universal. "Fire," she screams, and you see it now. Flames licking the edge of a nearby plot, the barley catching like tinder. The boy scrambles to his feet, clutching his pot debit, and you're torn, stay and finish the canal, or run to the fire, where you might help or might just burn. The woman's eyes lock on yours, pleading, and you think of the ritual tonight, Gadia's words, the spiral. Everything in Sumer is connected, and you're caught in the threads. You grab the boy's arm, pulling him toward the fire. He resists, his pot slipping, oil spilling onto the mud. But you don't stop. The smoke is thick now, stinging your eyes, and the heat hits you like a wall. Farmers are already there, beating the flames with cloaks and shovels, their shouts drowned by the fire's roar. You join them, swinging your tunic at the flames, the fabric scorching your hands. The boy is beside you, his pot abandoned, his small hands slapping at the fire with a desperation that hurts to watch. You don't know whose plot this is, but it doesn't matter. A fire in Sumer doesn't care about boundaries. It takes everything, and the gods don't intervene. The flames are stubborn, fed by dry stalks and a breeze that feels like betrayal. Your lungs burn, your vision blurs, and you think of your old life, of fire alarms and extinguishers, things that don't exist here. The woman who shouted is gone, lost in the smoke, and you wonder if she's safe or if she's another story no one will tell. The boy coughs, his face streaked with soot, and you pull him back, away from the worst of the flames. Enough, you say, but he shakes his head, his eyes fierce. It's my fault, he whispers, and you freeze, the words cutting through the chaos. You want to ask what he means, but the fire demands your attention, and you swing your tunic again, the heat searing your skin. A new figure appears through the smoke, tall and deliberate, his linen kilt pristine despite the chaos. It's Enmer, the scribe, his face calm, his eyes scanning the scene like he's reading a tablet. He doesn't help, doesn't shout, just watches, his presence chilling in the heat. You feel his gaze on you, and it's like the fire is nothing compared to his judgment. The boy notices him too, and his hands falter, his body shrinking. You want to shield him, to demand answers, but Enmer's authority is a wall you can't climb. He steps closer, his shadow falling over you, and says, "This will be recorded." His voice is flat, but the thread is clear. Someone will pay for this, and it might be you. The fire weakens, the farmer's efforts finally gaining ground. The plot is ruined, the barley reduced to ash, but the flames are out, and the air is heavy with the smell of charred earth. You're coughing, your hands blistered, your tunic half-burned. The boy is silent, his eyes on the ground, his pot lying broken in the mud, its oil seeping into the earth. You want to ask about his words, about the spiral, about Enmer, but he's already slipping away, disappearing into the crowd of exhausted farmers. Enmer is gone too, his shadow lingering like a curse. You stand there, the canal behind you, the ruined plot before you, and feel the weight of your choices, helping the boy, fighting the fire, ignoring the pot. The sun is lower now, the sky bruised with dusk. The ritual is soon, and Gadia's invitation feels heavier, like a stone in your chest. You trudge back to the canal, your body screaming, and see the reeds you abandoned, half-woven, the bank still weak. You kneel trying to finish the work, but your hands shake, and the spiral on the pot swims in your mind. You think of the boy, his guilt, his fear, and wonder if the fire was an accident or something else, a ritual gone wrong, a curse unleashed. You think of Enmer, his cold eyes, his promise to record. And you think of the gods Dumuzi and Inerta and Nergal, their statues watching from every corner of this city. You finish the canal bank, or close enough, and stand, your legs unsteady. The fields are quiet now, the farmer's gone, the fire of memory etched in ash. You start the walk to your hut, the ziggurat looming in the distance, its peak glowing with torchlight. The ritual waits, and you still don't know if you'll go. The boy's words echo, "It's my fault," and you wonder if you're to blame too, for seeing, for helping, for staying. The canal gurgles, the reeds whisper, and the spiral feels like it's carved into your skin. Are you still awake? I truly hope so, because there's something special about drifting through this story together, quietly, slowly. If you're still listening, whisper to me. Where are you right now, and how far have we come together? Don't fall asleep just yet. The most mysterious part is still waiting for us ahead. The twilight is a bruise across the sky, heavy with the scent of smoke and river mud as you stand at the edge of your plot, your hands still stinging from the fire's heat. The fields of Uruk are quiet now, the day's chaos swallowed by the gathering dark. But the ziggurat's torches flicker in the distance, calling you to the ritual Gudea spoke of. Your tunic is singed, your lungs raw from smoke, and the boy's whispered confession, "It's my fault," clings to you like damp clay. You're a farmer in ancient Sumer, and the world feels like a trap, every step pulling you deeper into a story you don't understand. You should be in your hut, collapsing onto your reed mat, but your feet carry you toward the ziggurat, toward the ritual, toward answers or ruin. The air is cool, sharp with the promise of night, and the canals reflect the first stars. They're light, fractured, and restless. The path to the ziggurat is worn, packed hard by countless feet, and it winds through fields and past shrines where statues of gods glare with lapis eyes. You pass a small altar, its stone stained with old blood, and your stomach twists. The ritual is for Dumuzi, the shepherd god, lover of Inanna, whose death and rebirth promise fertile fields. You've heard the chants before, drifting on the wind, but you've never gone, never stood in the temple's shadow while priests spilled blood and raised their voices to the heavens. Gudea's invitation wasn't a choice, it was a summons, and you feel its weight, heavy as the spiral that haunts your thoughts. The boy's broken pot, the bead in the dirt, the scream in the night, they're all threads in the same web, and you're caught, struggling to breathe. Voices rise ahead, a low hum that grows into a chant, punctuated by the wail of a bone flute. You crest a rise, and the ziggurat looms before you, its step sides climbing toward the stars. Torches line the base, their flames casting shadows that dance like spirits. Farmers and laborers gather in a loose circle, their faces lit by firelight, their eyes fixed on a platform where a priest stands, his robes white as bone, his arms raised. You recognize him. Zababa, a name whispered with fear and reverence. He's old, his face etched with lines, but his voice is strong, carrying over the crowd, invoking Dumuzi's name. You slip into the crowd, your heart pounding, and try to blend in, but you feel exposed, like the gods can see your doubts, your fears, your singed tunic. Gudea is there, standing near the front, his braided beard gleaming in the torchlight. He doesn't see you, or if he does, he gives no sign. Beside him is a woman you don't know, her hair bound with copper pins, her hands clasped tightly. She's trembling, or maybe it's the flickering light, but her eyes are on Zababa, and you wonder what she's praying for. Rain, forgiveness, survival. The chant grows louder, the flutes wail sharper, and you feel the crowd's energy shift, a current pulling you under. You want to leave, to run back to your hut, but your feet are rooted, and the spiral in your mind pulses like a heartbeat. Zababa lowers his arms, and the crowd falls silent. He holds a clay bowl, its contents hidden, and begins to speak, his words a rhythm that binds the night. He talks of Dumuzi's sacrifice, of the fields that drink his blood, of the gods who demand obedience. You don't understand all the words, but you feel their weight, like stones piling on your chest. The bowl is passed to another priest, younger, his face hidden by a mask shaped like a bull's head. The mask is unsettling, its eyes hollow, its horns curved like a crescent moon. You've seen bull statues before, offerings to fertility gods, but this feels different, alive in a way that makes your skin crawl. The masked priest raises the bowl, and the crowd murmurs, a sound that's half prayer, half fear. You notice something on the platform, half hidden by the priest's robes, a small statue, no bigger than your hand, carved from black stone. It's a figure, human but not, its limbs twisted, its face featureless except for a single spiral where its mouth should be. Your breath catches. The spiral again, always the spiral, tying the boy's pot to the tablet to the storage hut to this moment. You want to look away, but the statue holds you, its spiral seeming to spin, pulling you in. You blink, and it's still just stone, but your heart races, and you feel Zababa's eyes on you, though he's facing the crowd. Does he know you saw the statue? Does he know about the boy, the fire, the scream? The masked priest tilts the bowl, and blood spills onto the platform, dark and thick, pooling around the statue. The crowd gasps, and you smell it, coppery, sharp, mingling with the smoke. It's not human blood, you tell yourself, probably a lamb or a goat, but the sight twists your gut. The chant resumes, louder now, and the flute wails like a dying thing. You glance at Gadea, and he's chanting, his eyes closed, his beads clinking softly. The woman beside him is still trembling, her lips moving, and you wonder if she's praying for the same thing you are, to get through this, to survive, to wake up tomorrow and still be you. A hand brushes your arm, and you flinch. It's a man, his face half lit by torchlight, his eyes sunken and bright. He's not a farmer. His hands are too clean, his kilt too fine. You don't belong here, he whispers, his voice soft but edged, like a blade wrapped in linen. You don't know him, but there's something familiar in his face, a shadow of the old man by the canal, the one with the spiraled staff. You open your mouth to speak, but he's gone, slipping into the crowd like smoke. Your skin prickles, and you feel the spiral again, not just in your mind, but in the air, in the chant, in the blood pooling on the platform. The ritual shifts. Zababa raises a staff, its tip carved with a lion's head, and the crowd kneels, their heads bowed. You follow, your knees sinking into the dirt, your hands trembling. You don't know the prayers, don't know the gods, but you bow because standing out is death. The masked priest circles the platform, sprinkling oil from a jar, its scent heavy and sweet, like rotting fruit. The statue gleams, its spiral catching the torchlight, and you swear it moves, just a fraction, like the bull statue in the field. You tell yourself it's the smoke, the heat, the fear, but your body doesn't believe you. You want to run, but the crowd is a wall, and Gadea's presence, even from a distance, feels like a chain. The chant reaches a crescendo, and Zababa's voice rises, calling Dumuzi's name, begging for his return. The blood on the platform is dry now, crusted around the statue, and you wonder what it means, what it costs. You think of the boy, his broken pot, his guilt, and you wonder if he's here, hidden in the crowd, or if he's gone, another shadow lost to Sumer's hunger. You think of the fire, of Enmer's cold promise to record, and you wonder if this ritual is for the fields or for something darker, something tied to the spiral, to the scream, to you. The flute stops, and the silence is deafening. Zababa lowers his staff, and the crowd rises, their faces a mix of awe and exhaustion. You stand, your legs unsteady, and glance at the platform. The statue is gone, or maybe it was never there, just a trick of the light. Gadea is looking at you now, his eyes steady, and you feel judged, weighed, found wanting. The woman beside him is gone, her copper pins glinting in the dirt where she stood. You don't know what it means, but nothing in Sumer is random, and you're starting to understand that. The crowd disperses, the torches guttering, and you're alone again, the ziggurat looming behind you. The path to your hut is dark, the canal silent, but the spiral follows you, etched in your mind. You think of the man who whispered his warning, his face like the old man's, but not. You think of Zababa, the blood, the statue. You think of Gudea, and how he saw you, how he knows you were there. The ritual is over, but it's not done with you, and neither is Sumer. You walk, your steps heavy, your heart heavier, and the night presses close, whispering secrets you're not ready to hear. The night air clings to you like a second skin, damp and heavy with the scent of mud and extinguished torches as you stumble away from the ziggurat. The ritual's chants still echo in your skull, Zababa's voice, the blood pooling around that spiral-carved statue, Gudea's steady gaze. All of it a weight you can't shake. Your tunic is stiff with ash and sweat, your hands blistered from the fire and the reeds, and your heart hammers with the stranger's whispered warning. You don't belong here. Uruk's fields are silent now, the canal's black ribbons under a star-scattered sky, but the darkness feels alive, watching, waiting. You're a farmer in ancient Sumer, and every step toward your hut feels like a defiance of something you can't name. The spiral is in your mind, in the air, in the earth, tying you to the boy's broken pot, the scream, the bead, the fire. You walk faster, your breath shallow, but the night is patient, and it knows you're not. The path twists through the fields, past plots of barley and emmer wheat, their shoots ghostly in the moonlight. Your hut is close, its reed walls a fragile promise of rest, but rest is a lie in Sumer. You pass a canal, its water still, and catch a glimpse of your reflection. Hollow eyes, soot-streaked face, a stranger wearing your skin. You look away, but not before you see something else in the water, a flicker of movement, like a hand reaching up from the depths. You freeze, your pulse loud in your ears, but the surface is smooth again, unbroken. It's just the stars, you tell yourself, or the ritual's blood and smoke playing tricks. But your hands shake, and you hurry on, the mud sucking at your feet like it wants to keep you. A low hum stops you, a sound so soft it's almost part of the night. It's coming from a cluster of reeds near the canal, where the shadows are thickest. You should keep walking, ignore it, but your body betrays you, turning toward the sound. The hum grows, shaping itself into words, a chant you don't understand but feel in your bones. You part the reeds, your hands trembling, and see her, a woman, crouched in the mud, her back to you. Her hair is long, unbound, streaked with gray, and her hands are buried in the earth, digging, clawing. She's muttering, her voice a mix of prayer and curse, and you catch a name, Ereshkigal, the goddess of the underworld, queen of the dead. Your stomach twists. Nobody calls on Ereshkigal unless they're desperate or worse. You step back, but a reed snaps under your foot, and the woman whirls, her eyes wild, her face smeared with mud. She's older than you thought, her skin like cracked parchment, but her gaze is sharp, cutting through you. Who sent you? She hisses, her hand still clutching a clump of earth. You stammer, raising your hands to show you mean no harm, but she's already on her feet, a knife in her hand, its blade glinting like the canal's water. You don't know her, but there's something familiar in her face, a shadow of the girl by the canal, the one with the snake figurine. Is this her mother, her aunt, her ghost? You don't know, but the knife is real, and so is her fear. I'm nobody, you say, your voice hoarse. Just a farmer. She laughs, a sound like breaking clay, and lowers the knife. but her eyes don't soften. "Nobody's just a farmer," she says. "Not here." She points to the ground, where she was digging, and you see it, a clay tablet, small and crude, its surface scratched with spirals and jagged lines. It's like the one on the threshing floor, the one in the storage hut, the one on the boy's pot, but this one is wet, glistening with canal water, and it feels alive, pulsing with a rhythm you can't hear. You want to run, but your feet are rooted, and the woman's gaze holds you like a chain. She kneels again, her hands hovering over the tablet, and resumes her chant, softer now, like she's soothing a child. You catch words, irresistible vengeance, release, and your skin crawls. You think of the fire, the boy's guilt, the scream, and you wonder if this tablet is the key, the curse, the answer. "What is it?" you ask, the words slipping out before you can stop them. She looks at you, her eyes narrowing, and for a moment you think she'll drive the knife into your chest. But she doesn't. "It's a debt," she says, her voice low. "Paid in blood." She buries the tablet again, her hands quick, and stands, wiping mud on her tunic. "Go to your ritual," she says, spitting the word like a curse. "But don't think you're clean." You stumble back, the reeds closing behind you, and she's gone, swallowed by the dark. The hum is gone too, leaving only the canal's gurgle and your ragged breathing. You turn toward your hut, your legs unsteady, but the tablet's spiral burns in your mind, and you feel its weight, like it's buried in your chest. You think of Gudea, his invitation, his beads, and wonder if he knows about the woman, the tablet, the debt. You think of Zababa, the blood, the statue, and wonder if the ritual was a distraction, a way to keep you from seeing what's buried in the earth. You think of the boy, the fire, and wonder if he's part of this or just another victim. Your hut looms ahead, its door a black mouth, and you push inside, the air stale with the smell of unwashed linen and yesterday's fear. You collapse onto your mat, your body screaming, but sleep is a stranger. The spiral is everywhere now, in the cracks of the walls, in the shadows, in your dreams. You close your eyes, and the woman's face swims in the dark, her knife glinting, her voice whispering of debts and blood. You think of the ritual, and how you didn't stay to the end, how you slipped away before Zababa's final prayer. Did you miss something crucial, something that could save you? Or did you escape something worse? A knock at the door jolts you upright, your heart in your throat. It's soft, almost hesitant, but in the silence of the night, it's like a thunderclap. You don't move, hoping it's a mistake, a branch against the wall, but it comes again, sharper. You stand, your legs trembling, and approach the door, your hand hovering over the latch. Who's out there? Gudea, checking if you went to the ritual? The boy, seeking help? The woman, her knife, ready? You open the door, and the night air rushes in, cold and heavy. There's no one, just the darkness, but on the ground at your feet is a single reed, its tip carved with a spiral. You stare at it, your breath catching, and feel the world tilt, like the earth itself is turning against you. You pick up the reed, though every instinct screams not to. It's light, fragile, but it feels wrong, like it's watching you. You want to throw it into the canal, to burn it, to bury it, but you don't. You carry it inside, your hands shaking, and set it on the mat, where it lies like a snake, coiled and waiting. You sit your back against the wall, and stare at it, the spiral gleaming in the faint moonlight that seeps through the cracks. You think of the woman's words, "Don't think you're clean," and wonder what you've done, or what's been done to you. You think of the gods, Ereshkigal and Dumuzi and Nergal, and wonder if they're fighting over your soul, or if they've already claimed it. The night deepens, the air colder, and you hear it again, the hum, faint but growing, coming from outside. You don't move, don't breathe, but the reed seems to pulse. Its spiral spinning in your mind. You're a farmer in Sumer, and the earth is a ledger, every debt recorded, every sin remembered. You close your eyes, but the darkness is no refuge, and the hum is louder now, a chant that knows your name. You're not sure if you'll sleep, or if you'll wake, or if the spiral will let you. All you know is the reed, the night, and the weight of a debt you didn't know you owed. The dawn is a raw wound, bleeding red across the sky as you crouch in your hut, the carved reed still lying on your mat like a splinter in the world's flesh. Its spiral glints in the half-light, a silent accusation, and the hum from last night lingers in your ears, though the air is still now, heavy with the scent of damp reeds and your own fear. You haven't slept, not really. Your eyes burned through the darkness, watching a reed, waiting for the knock that never came again. Uruk's fields wait outside, demanding your labor, but the spiral ties you to the woman by the canal, her knife, her tablet, her whispered debt to a reshkagel. You're a farmer in ancient Sumer, and the earth is a ledger you can't read, its entries written in blood and shadow. You rise, your body stiff, and tuck the reed into your tunic, close to your chest, though it feels like carrying a curse. The fields are waking as you step outside, the air sharp with the chill of morning and the distant tang of smoke. Farmers move like ghosts, their hoes glinting in the first light, their voices low, as if afraid to wake the gods. You head to your plot, the mud sucking at your sandals, and try to focus on the day's work, tending the barley, checking the canal gates, surviving. But the reed presses against your skin, and every shadow seems to hold a spiral, every sound a chant. You pass the shrine with the lion statue, its blood-stained dry now, flaking into the dirt. You don't look at it, but you feel its eyes, and you wonder if Ninurta, god of war and plow, knows what you've seen, what you've touched. Your plot is a mess, the barley shoots uneven, choked by weeds you didn't have time to pull. You kneel, your hands tearing at the intruders, but your mind is elsewhere, on the woman, the boy, Gudea, the ritual. You think of Zababa's blood-filled bowl, the masked priest, the statue with its spiraled mouth. You think of the stranger's warning, his face like the old man's, and you wonder if they're the same, or if Sumer is full of ghosts who know your name. The reed is a weight, a secret you can't share, and you're not sure if it's protection or damnation. You glance around, half expecting Enmer's cold eyes or Gudea's steady gaze, but you're alone, or as alone as you can be in a city where the gods are always watching. A cough breaks your thoughts, rough and wet, from the edge of the plot. You look up, and there's a man leaning against a shovel, his face gaunt, his eyes fever bright. His name is Lugal, a farmer whose plot borders yours, though you've never spoken more than a nod. He's older, his beard patchy, his tunic stained with sweat and something darker, blood, maybe, or just the earth's endless hunger. He's coughing again, doubled over, and you see the sheen of sweat on his brow, the tremble in his hands. You've heard of sickness in Uruk, fevers that sweep through the fields like floodwater, leaving bodies for the priest to burn. You should stay away, keep working. But his eyes meet yours, and there's a plea there, raw and human. You stand, brushing dirt from your hands, and approach, though every step feels like a mistake. You all right? You ask, your voice rough from disuse. Lugal laughs, a sound that turns into another cough, and shakes his head. Nobody's all right, he says, his voice a rasp. He points to his plot, where the barley is wilted, its stalks yellowing. The gods are angry, or the water's bad, or both. You glance at the canal, its surface calm but murky, and remember the woman's tablet, buried in the mud. Is this her debt? Her curse? Spreading like rot? You want to ask Lugol if he's seen anything, spirals, tablets, a woman with a knife. But the reed burns against your chest, and you stay silent. Lugol straightens, his breath wheezing, and pulls something from his tunic. A small amulet, shaped like a crescent moon, strung on a leather cord. It's simple, carved from bone, but it gleams with an unnatural sheen, like it's been polished by hands older than you, Ruck. For Anu, he says, noticing your stare. Anu, the sky god, father of all, distant but merciless, keeps the fever away. Or it did. He laughs again, bitter, and tucks the amulet away. You think of a reed, the spiral, and wonder if your own charm is as useless or worse. Lugol's eyes narrow like he sees something in you, and he says, you were at the ritual. I saw you. Your stomach drops. You thought you'd slipped away unnoticed, but Sumer sees everything. You nod because lying feels like inviting worse. Gudea told me to come, you say, hoping his name carries weight. Lugol's face darkens, and he spits into the dirt. Gudea, he says, like the name is a curse. He's got the priest's ear, but he's no farmer. Not anymore. You want to ask what he means, but Lugol's coughing again, and you step back, your fear of sickness outweighing your curiosity. He waves you off, his hand trembling, and says, go, work. The gods don't wait. You return to your plot, your hands tearing at weeds, but Lugol's words linger, and you feel the reeds spiral like a brand on your skin. The sun climbs, its heat a hammer, and your plot is a battlefield. Weeds against barley, you against the earth. Your hands are raw, your back screaming, and the canal's gurgle is a mockery, promising water, but delivering mud. You think of your old life, of coffee breaks and screens, and it feels like a myth, as distant as Anu's sky. Here, there's only the dirt, the heat, the spiral. You glance at Lugol's plot, and he's gone, his shovel leaning against a stone, his amulet lying in the dirt where he stood. You freeze, your heart pounding. Did he drop it or leave it? Is it an offering, a warning, a trap? You think of the bead, the tablet, the reed, and know you can't touch it, but you can't look away either. A shadow falls over you, and you flinch, expecting Enmer or Zababa. It's a woman, her face hidden by a shawl, her hands clutching a basket of seed. She's young, her movements quick, but there's a weight to her, like she's carrying more than grain. You saw him, she says, her voice low, not a question. You blink confused, and she nods toward Lugol's plot. He's sick. He won't last. Her words are flat, but her eyes are sharp, searching. And you feel exposed, like she knows about the reed, the ritual, the spiral. You shake your head, unsure what she wants, and she steps closer, her shawl slipping to reveal a scar on her cheek, jagged as a lightning bolt. Don't tell, she says. Not Gudea. Not the priests. They'll burn him. And you nod, your throat dry, and she's gone, disappearing into the fields like she was never there. You stare at the amulet, its crescent gleaming, and feel the spiral's pulse, tying you to Lugol, to the woman, to the debt you don't understand. Do you tell someone, Gudea, Enmer, anyone, and risk the priest's wrath? Or do you keep silent, letting Lugol's fever spread, letting the gods decide? The choice is a blade, and you're already cut. You return to your weeds, your hands mechanical, but your mind is a storm, spiraling like the reed, like the tablet, like the statue's mouth. The day drags on, the sun relentless, the canal indifferent. You finish your plot, or close enough, and stand, your body a map of pain. Lugol's amulet is still there, untouched, and you step over it, careful not to look too long. The fields are emptying, farmers trudging to their huts, but you feel eyes on you. Or maybe it's just the gods, Anu and Ereshkigal, watching from above and below. You start the walk to your hut, the reed heavy in your tunic, the spiral heavy in your soul. The woman's warning, they'll burn him. And you is a chain, and you're not sure if you're protecting Lugal or damning yourself. The ziggurat looms in the distance, its torches unlit, but waiting. And you know Sumer isn't done with you. You're a farmer, and the earth keeps score. The midday sun is a relentless god, its heat searing your skin as you stand in the shade of a tamarisk tree, your hands still gritty from the morning's work. The fields of Uruk hum with the rhythm of labor, hoes striking earth, water slapping canal banks, voices murmuring like the wind. Your tunic is damp, clinging to your chest where the carved reed presses, its spiral a secret you can't unlearn. Lugal's fever, the woman's warning, the amulet glinting in the dirt, they're all knots in the same rope, tightening around you. You're a farmer in ancient Sumer, and the world is a puzzle of shadows, each piece sharp enough to cut. You should be back at your plot, tending the barley, but your feet brought you here to the tree's meager shelter, as if you could hide from the god's gaze. The ziggurat looms in the distance, its peak a silent judge, and you feel the spiral's pulse, tying you to the woman by the canal, the boy's broken pot, the ritual's blood. A rustle in the branches above makes you flinch, your hand instinctively touching the reed. It's just a bird, a sparrow, its wings a blur as it darts away, but your heart races, and you curse your nerves. You're not built for this, not the heat, not the fear, not the secrets. You think of your old life, of air-conditioned rooms and predictable days, but the memory is thin, like a tablet worn smooth by time. Here, there's only the earth, the sun, the spiral. You lean against a tree, its bark rough against your back, and try to breathe, but the air is thick, heavy with the scent of dust and something sweeter, like overripe dates. You close your eyes, just for a moment, and see the spiral spinning in the dark, a mouth that whispers your name. Footsteps crunch on the path, slow and deliberate, and you open your eyes, your body tensing. It's not Lugal, not Gadea, but a girl, the one from the canal, the one with the snake figurine. She's closer now, her hair tied back, her tunic stained with mud. Her eyes are red, like she's been crying, and she's carrying a basket of reeds, though it's half empty, as if she's forgotten her task. You want to look away, to pretend you don't see her, but her gaze locks on yours, and there's no escape. You were there, she says, her voice soft but heavy, like a stone dropped into still water. You know what she means, the canal, her ritual, her prayer to Nergal. You nod, your throat dry, and she steps closer, her basket slipping to the ground. You shouldn't have seen, she says, and there's fear in her eyes, but also something harder, like she's weighing you. You want to ask about the snake, the tablet, the spiral, but the reed burns against your chest, and you're afraid of what she might say. Instead, you say, I won't tell. It's a promise, or maybe a plea, but she shakes her head, her lips trembling. It doesn't matter. They know. She glances at the ziggurat, and you follow her gaze, half expecting to see Zababa or Enmer watching from the steps. There's nothing, just the sun's glare, but you feel it too, the weight of being seen, of being known. She kneels, picking up her basket, and you notice a mark on her wrist, scratched into her skin, a spiral, small but unmistakable. Your breath catches, and she pulls her sleeve down, hiding it, but not before you see the fear in her eyes. Who are they, you ask, the words slipping out before you can stop them. She stands, her basket clutched to her chest, and says, the ones who write the debts. She turns, her steps quick, and disappears into the fields, leaving you with the tamarisk shade and the spiral's hum in your mind. You think of Enmer, his stylus scratching clay, his promise to record the fire. You think of the woman by the canal, her tablet buried in the mud. You think of the reed and wonder if it's a debt or a payment or both. You return to your plot, the barley waiting. It shoots fragile against the clay. Your hands move mechanically, pulling weeds, checking the canal gate, but your mind is a storm. The girl's words, they know, are a blade, and you're bleeding. You glance at Lugal's plot, where the amulet still lies, its crescent untouched, and you wonder if he's dead or dying or gone. You think of the woman with the scar, her warning about the priests, and you wonder if she's part of this or just another thread in the web. The spiral is everywhere now, in the dirt, in the water, in the girl's skin, and you're not sure if it's a curse or a map, leading you somewhere you don't want to go. A shout from the canal pulls you from your thoughts, sharp and angry. You stand, brushing dirt from your hands, and see two men arguing near the water, their voices rising over the slap of the current. One is young, his kilt torn, his hands clenched into fists. The other is older, his beard streaked with gray, a shovel gripped like a spear. You don't know their names, but you've seen them in the fields, their faces lined with the same exhaustion you feel. They're fighting over water. Again, the canals flow a prize worth blood. The younger man shoves the older, who stumbles, his shovel splashing into the mud. You should walk away, keep working, but the girls fear, the spiral, the reed. They hold you, and you step closer, your heart pounding. The older man recovers, his face twisted with rage, and swings his fist, catching the younger in the jaw. The crowd, farmers pausing their work, drawn to the fight, murmurs, but no one moves to stop it. You think of the ritual, the blood, the statue, and wonder if this is another offering, another debt. You think of Lugal, his fever, and wonder if he fought like this, or if he just faded, unrecorded. The younger man tackles the older, and they fall into the canal, water splashing, their curses drowned by the fight. You could shout, could try to pull them apart, but your feet are rooted, and the reed feels heavier, like it's choosing for you. A new figure appears, moving through the crowd with a grace that doesn't belong here. It's Shabad, the priestess from the first day, her indigo robes a stark contrast to the mud and sweat. Her kohl-rimmed eyes scan the scene, and you feel her gaze like a blade, cutting through you. She doesn't speak, doesn't intervene, but her presence is enough. The men stop panting, their faces bruised, their anger spent. The crowd disperses and Shabad turns, her eyes meeting yours for a moment, long enough to make your skin crawl. She knows about the reed, you're sure of it, or the spiral, or the girl. She knows, and she's waiting. You return to your plot, your hands shaking, and kneel, the barley blurring through your tears. You're not crying, not really. It's the dust, the heat, the fear. You pull a weed, its roots snapping, and find something beneath it, a shard of clay, its edge sharp, its surface scratched with a spiral. You drop it, your breath catching, and it lies there, gleaming in the dirt, another piece of the puzzle you can't solve. You think of the girl, her marked wrist, her words about debts. You think of Shabad, her silent judgment, her connection to Inanna. You think of the reed, and wonder if it's a key, or a lock, or a noose. The sun is lower now, the sky streaked with gold, and the fields are emptying, farmers trudging to their huts. You finish your work, or close enough, and stand, your body a map of pain. The shard is still there, and you kick dirt over it. But you know it's not gone, not really. You start the walk to your hut, the reed heavy, the spiral heavier. Shabad's gaze follows you, Or maybe it's the gods, or the ones who write the debts. You think of the fight, the canal, the girl, and wonder if you're fighting too, or just drowning. The ziggurat watches, its torches unlit but ready. And you know the spiral isn't done with you. The dusk is a fever, its heat sinking into your bones as you stand at the edge of Uruk's fields, the carved reed clutched in your hand like a confession. The sky is a smear of crimson and ash, the ziggurat's silhouette a claw against it, and the air smells of dust, sweat, and something sharper. Fear, maybe, or the promise of blood. Your tunic is tattered, your hands raw from days of toil, and the spiral's weight is no longer just in your mind. It's in the earth, the water, the eyes of every farmer who passes you, their glances quick and guarded. You're a farmer in ancient Sumer, and you've seen too much: the girl's snake figurine, the woman's buried tablet, Lugal's fever, Shabad's judgment, the ritual's blood. The spiral ties them all, a debt you didn't ask for, a curse you can't escape. Tonight it ends, or you do. You've been summoned, not by Gadea or Enmer, but by a note scratched into a clay shard left at your hut's door. Come to the old canal at dusk. Bring the reed. No name, no explanation, just the spiral etched beneath, its lines jagged as a scream. You could have ignored it, burned the shard, fled to your plot, and pretended you're just a farmer. But you're not just a farmer, not anymore. The spiral knows you, and so do the gods. You walk, the reeds wait a pulse against your chest. The path to the old canal, winding through fields gone silent, their barley swaying like mourners. The canal is abandoned, its banks crumbling, its water thick with silt and secrets. You've heard whispers of this place, where the priests once drowned traders, where the earth drinks more than water. The canal comes into view, its surface a dull mirror reflecting the dying light. You're not alone. 3 figures wait, their silhouettes stark against the water. Shabad stands at the center, her indigo robes catching the dusk, her kohl-rimmed eyes fixed on you like a hawk's. To her left is the girl from the canal, her hair loose, her wrist still marked with the spiral, her face pale but resolute. To her right is a man you don't know, his face shadowed by a hood, his hands hidden in his cloak. You feel the reeds spiral burn, and you know this is the reckoning, the debt's final tally. You stop, your sandals sinking into the mud, and Shabad speaks, her voice soft but heavy, like a stone sinking into the canal. You brought it, she says, her eyes on the reed. It's not a question. You nod, your throat dry, and hold out the reed, but your hand trembles, and you don't let go. What is it? You ask, the words rough, desperate. The girl flinches, her eyes darting to Shabad, but the hooded man laughs, a sound like breaking reeds. It's a truth, he says, stepping forward, his face still hidden. The truth Sumer buries. Shabad raises a hand, silencing him, and steps closer, her robes brushing the mud. You've seen the spiral, she says. You've seen the debts. The boy's fire, Lugal's fever, the tablets in the earth. They're all one debt, owed to Ereshkigal, paid by Uruk's blood. Her words are a blade, and you feel them cut, exposing the fear you've carried since the first day. The girl speaks, her voice barely a whisper. I started it, she says, her eyes on the canal. I prayed to Nergal, to curse the priests who took my mother. I didn't know it would spread. You think of the fire, the boy's guilt, the woman's tablet, and realize the spiral wasn't just a curse. It was a chain, linking every soul in Uruk, and you're the last link. Shabad's eyes narrow. The reed is the key, she says. It holds the names of the cursed, written in the god's tongue. Give it to me, and the debt is paid. The spiral ends. She holds out her hand, her fingers steady, but you see the hunger in her eyes. And you know it's not that simple. The hooded man steps closer, his cloak parting to reveal a knife, its blade etched with a spiral. "Or keep it," he says, his voice low, "and run. Take the curse with you, let you ruck burn. The gods don't care who pays, as long as someone does." You look at the girl, her face crumpled with guilt, and at Shabad, her calm a mask for something darker. You think of Lugal, dying in his hut, of Gadia's beads, of the ritual's blood. You think of the spiral, and how it's carved into you now, a mark you can't erase. The choice is yours, but it's no choice at all. Give Shabad the reed, and trust her to end the curse, or keep it and flee, carrying the spiral's weight until it crushes you. You look at the canal, its water still, and see your reflection, distorted, spiraled. You think of your first day, the mud, the hoe, the bull statue's eyes. You think of the screams, the fire, the debts. You understand now why you wouldn't survive a week in Sumer, not because of the labor, the heat, the hunger, but because of this, the God's ledger, where every choice is a debt, every debt a death. You're not a hero, not a scribe, not a priest. You're a farmer, and farmers don't win. They endure until they don't. You look at Shabad, her hand outstretched, and at the hooded man, his knife gleaming. You look at the girl and see yourself caught in a web you didn't weave. You make your choice. You step forward, the mud sucking at your feet, and press the reed into Shabad's hand. Her fingers close around it, and you feel a chill, like the canal's water rising to swallow you. The girl gasps, her hands covering her face, and the hooded man laughs, stepping back into the shadows. Shabad's eyes meet yours, and there's no gratitude, no mercy, just a flicker of triumph. "The debt is paid," she says, and she turns, her robe swirling, and casts the reed into the canal. It sinks, the water closing over it, and for a moment you feel lighter, like the spiral's gone. But then you see the girl's eyes, wide with horror, and you know you've missed something vital. The canal ripples, a low hum rising from its depths, and the air grows heavy, like a storm's weight. Shabad's face changes, her calm cracking, and she steps back, her hands raised as if to ward off something. The hooded man is gone, his laughter echoing, and you realize he wasn't part of this. He was a witness, or a trickster, or a god. The girl screams, a sound that cuts through you, and the canal's water turns black, churning like it's alive. You stumble back, your heart pounding, and see it, a shape in the water, not human, not animal. Its surface spiraled, its eyes empty. Ereshkigal, or her shadow, or the dead itself, rising to claim what's hers. You run, your sandals slipping, your breath ragged. The fields blur past, the ziggurat a dark blur, and you hear the hum, louder now, chasing you. You think of a girl left behind, and Shabad, her triumph turned to fear. You think of a reed, and how you gave it up, hoping to end the curse, but you were wrong. Sumer doesn't let you go, not with a choice, not with a sacrifice. You reach your hut, its reed walls trembling in the wind, and collapse inside, your body shaking. The hum is gone, or maybe it's inside you now, a part of you. You understand, finally, why you wouldn't survive. Because Sumer's gods don't want survivors. They want debtors. And you've paid in full. You lie on your mat, the darkness pressing close, and feel the spiral's absence, or maybe its presence, carved into your soul. The ziggurat watches through the cracks, the canals whisper, and you know you're not alone. You close your eyes, and the shape from the canal swims in the dark, its spiral spinning. You're a farmer in Sumer, and you've learned the truth. Survival is a debt, and the gods always collect. Sleep well if you can, But don't be surprised if you wake to the sound of water or the touch of a spiraled hand under your mat. Good night.